ACT leader David Seymour made a flying visit to Hawke's Bay to listen to concerns and garner support ahead of next year's election.
Look, we're here first and foremost to hear what's on the minds of Hawke's Bay people. When Parliament's not sitting, it's on a 2-week break right now. I think it's really important to go out and see what people are saying, because if you don't listen to people, then you go back to Parliament. Who are you speaking for? So we think listening's part of that whole representation process. And what I'm hearing is, so far, until I got here, people have been saying in other centres, they're really worried about the lack of response to the crime. They understand it's happening, but when's the government going to actually front up and meet it head on? They're very concerned about rising prices, because we kind of know that. And the other thing that just comes up really strongly everywhere is around the shortage of people, and particularly immigration, and especially migrant communities are just so angry at the way they've been treated. But there's also some tougher issues, and I would talk, for example, about crime. We've got too many people on benefits, we've got too many people committing crime, and we've swung the pendulum towards saying, oh well, we've got to make it easier, we feel sorry for them. Maybe. But the more people that get into the lifestyle of being long-term welfare, involved in crime, it just makes it so much harder for everyone else who's trying to do the right thing. We've got to swing that pendulum back. So on crime, we're unapologetically tougher. If it means more people go to prison in the short term, that's good for the people that are kept safe. If we end up having to make it harder to stay on welfare long term, that's good for the people that find a job, go back to being on top of their lives and providing to the rest of the community. So we need to swing that pendulum back, otherwise we gradually drift towards a society that a lot of people won't want to live in. This is the place where the mongrel mob were given $2.8 million to persuade people not to get on P, forgetting that the mongrel mob was selling people P in the first place. I think that's just wrong. That logic is wrong. The government has taken the view that gangs are our friends and they can be an acceptable part of society and they can be worked with. Our view is that gangs are people. There are people in gangs. We want to work with the people, not with the gangs. So if they want to take off their patches, stop committing crime, stop selling illegal drugs, then there's a pathway back. But we're not going to start negotiations by saying that gangs are maybe legitimate. That means open season on their assets. If you're a gang member with illegal guns, dealing illegal drugs, we'll take everything you have, because so long as it is profitable for a gang to deal illegal drugs, and that's where the bling is, where the gold rim motorcycles and the career prospects are for young people will keep joining until we change the fundamental economic calculus.
They will stand candidates in the Tukituki and Napier electorates.
We'll absolutely have candidates in Tukituki and Napier. The party's selection process means we won't have those candidates in place until next year. But most importantly, we'll be asking people in Hawke's Bay to vote for the candidate that they think is best to represent their region, and then give their party vote to ACT, because that's the best way to change the government and strengthen that change, getting more ACT MPs in.
He agrees the local body elections saw a nationwide trend of right-leaning candidates and mayors elected.
I think the elections at local level have shown, at least in some cases, I think, frustration with some of the policies of the left. But that doesn't mean people are going to vote for us. We have to go out and earn the right by not just criticising and opposing, but proposing better ideas. So what you'll see from ACT is, not just saying it's all terrible, but asking, is this the best we can be? And how can we be better? Because I think we can be a more cohesive society, a safer society, and critically a more prosperous society. But in order to do that, we've got to put first and foremost, front and centre, the values that your efforts in life make a difference. There's consequences for crime, but there's also reward for innovation and effort. And if we get those values right, then this little project of having a first world country and an island paradise can go gangbusters for another couple of 100 years. If we don't get it right, then we'll be a sort of okay Pacific island. But I think we can do better than that, and we're really looking forward to putting forward a positive vision for New Zealanders over the next 12 months.